If you weekday commuters and weekend tourists find it a little hard to relate to the 300 km/h plus Yamaha YZR 500s, then perhaps this is a little more in your league. The Honda and Kawasaki production 250s. Looks like they're away in the Celebrity Challenge. Up there to Michael Dowson, who's going to get some of his own back.
Place of contrasts, because racing in the event at the moment are some of the best riders in Australia. They'll do 5 laps on these little bikes, then they'll come back and hand over on the run to 10 of Australia's motorcycling commentators and a couple of racing drivers as well, including John Harvey, the winner of the James Hardy 1000 in 1983. But Michael Dowson, who's joined us on the benches for this one, this is going to be some race between these really top riders.
Well, it looks like it is. There's a lot of guys there together, and they've got 5 laps to do it, and I think there's going to be a lot of very close riding.
The bikes themselves are the Kawasaki BR250. Len Willing leading at the moment on bike 49, which is one of the Kawasaki's. He's being chased by Kevin MAGEE.
Yes. Go, Kevin.
On bike 2, the Honda. MAGEE coming along to challenge him on the inside at the moment. Behind them is Jeff McNaughton on 77.
Oh, there's 3 down.
Well, Mike, that's exactly where you came off in this one, of course. So you know what it feels like.
Very good.
There's going to be a few disappointed racing journalists who wanted to put their reputations on the line in that one. But leading the race now is Kevin MAGEE, feeling a lot happier than he was in the Swann Series. Behind him, Len Willing. Coming up to challenge is Jeff McNaughton. Behind him is Malcolm Campbell. Two A.B.C. commentators about to take over the controls. Buster Saunders will hand over. That's when Buster through camera there.
Anything could happen
over
here.
to Will Hagen. And of course, Peter Clifford will also be riding in the second heat of this series. Peter sharing with Rob Holden. Mal Campbell forcefully indicates that he wants to go through. Some real fun riding here yesterday, Michael.
Oh, Campbell's down.
That's a big one from Campbell. So Bruce Newton from Rev's Motorcycle News, who's sharing with Campbell, looks like he won't get a ride. But at least Campbell enjoyed himself for the 2 laps. No, Campbell's back up. And it might happen, meantime, in the lead. Kevin MAGEE doing it well. Jeff McNaughton has his shot at glory as he pulls out to pass Kevin MAGEE, who must be finding it a bit difficult, Michael, adjusting to the power of this single-cylinder bike.
Yes, I think so. I think that he's still finding a bit hard through that corner. He's looked very tentative through there, and the tyres on those little bikes will take a long time to get warm. So I think they're all doing a pretty good job. They're all staying pretty close. They're all working very hard.
MAGEE has a quiet chat with Jeff McNaughton as they come onto the track to indicate who might lead it at the end of the straight. McNaughton pulls out of the slipstream and hits a solid wall of air. There's Will Hagen discussing his tactics with Bruce Newton from Rev's Motorcycle News. Tension in the pits. As now 3 abreast we go into the braking area. Kevin MAGEE on the outside, covered by 77. Jeff McNaughton on the inside. Len Willing hangs back, looking for a way through. It doesn't present itself.
No, it doesn't.
Now Buster Saunders comes up into contention on bike 98. He's in 3rd position. Hagen will be pleased. MAGEE over the top. McNaughton beside him. Saunders tucked in behind. Saunders, of course, with a real disadvantage in the Le Mans start, Michael, because he had to run twice as far.
That's right. And also, I think jumping on the bike would have been difficult for him too.
But look who's in the lead.
He's taken it.
He's done it.
I don't know how he did that.
I think it's all the lessons he's learned from Will Hagen. Will spent the last 24 hours teaching Buster how to ride, but he's down. And so is Len Willing, just recovered from a bad fall in Western Australia. And his leg's still not well. Buster starts pushing, but this is going to be a bit of a push for Buster to get the bike going again. No, he's up and he's away. You see, Will Hagen, in fact, was there to boost Buster onto the bike at the Le Mans start. Now Will's going to have to take over a damaged bike, and this will really test the skill and daring of Will Hagen.
Definitely will.
Down the main straight, and Kevin MAGEE, cool as ever, is in the lead. Hagen disappointed in the pits. Jeff McNaughton comes alongside and takes over the lead from Kevin MAGEE, who circumspectly pulls back, perhaps thinking of Rob McElnay. Keep up into 3rd place now. Look who it is. It's PHILLIS. 5 times Australian Superbike champion, Rob PHILLIS. PHILLIS on the Kawasaki 250. And Michael Dawson, these guys really into it, regardless of the way we're calling it. They're really riding as hard as they possibly can.
By the looks of their corner speed, they're working those little bikes very hard. And I reckon those tyres after this race are going to be quite scuffed. Even though the circuit is very cold, but I think their corner speed and their braking seems very fast. So I think the tyres will be nice and warm for the other guys to get on.
Robbie Phillis now takes over the lead. This race has now been led by 3 people, perhaps 4. So Rob Phillis now takes over the lead. He to hand over to the advertising manager of Australian Motorcycle News, Nick Dower. Australian Motorcycle News, of course, have been instrumental in putting this race together. All these bikes, the sorts of bikes that young riders can buy to undertake motorcycling for the first time. All of them single cylinder, 4 valves per cylinder, 5 of them. The new Honda CBX 250, the other 5 the Kawasaki BR 250. Each of them worth about $2,300. Rob Phillis in the lead. Rob didn't practice yesterday here, but turned up this morning, went out for a couple of laps with the sidecars, which was interesting to watch in itself.
It'll be interesting now to see if Kevin and Jeffrey can catch those guys up. Robbie's definitely taking a bit of a lead there. Be interesting to see if they can pull him back.
Well, this is it. This is where the tension is really on, because now the race riders... Oh, and a wheel stand there as Wayne Clark comes over the hill. He's running really last because here's the leader here, Rob Phillis, but the tension's really on now because in just half a lap's time, these guys have to hand over to the real stars of the day, the motorcycle journalists.
Actually, the tension must be pretty hard down there in the pits at the moment. Seeing these guys, especially these 3 guys that are leading, the journos would be quite anxious to get out there, I'd say.
Well, I noticed, Michael, that you were spending quite some time. In fact, as now Robbie Phillis loses the lead to bike 2, Kevin MAGEE. He'll be handing over to Len Lamb from the Age newspaper in Melbourne. But I noticed quite a number of the riders, including Will Hagen, were talking to you this morning, Michael, looking for advice.
Yeah, he was asking how the track was and things like that, and they're very important because the first lap's pretty important.
This is pit lane. This is 160 kilometres an hour in pit lane as first Robbie Phillis comes in to hand over to Kent Forbes from Eon FM.
He's on.
Kent, a really good rider, rides a GSX 1100 himself. Oh, wheel stand from Kent. 1 bike's overshot the pits, but he's away. There's Will Hagen standing there waiting for his machine to arrive, but Buster Saunders seems to have forgotten that he was supposed to have come in and has gone round again. 77 is Jeff McNaughton handing over to Martin Home.
I think they've got a gear shift problem there on that bike.
Bike 5 comes in, Rob Holden, to give his bike to Peter Clear. And here we go. Here's what we've been waiting for, the long and short of it. Buster Saunders hands his bike to Will Hagen, doing his impersonation of the Michelin Man. Oh, and some outside help there. That's absolute instant disqualification for Will Hagen as Robbie Phillis still tries to get the bike going. Hagen trying to overcome the immense compression values of this single-cylinder Kawasaki. And finally he goes, and Buster Saunders absolutely destroyed as Hagen now charges out into the fray. Yep. First gear, second gear, third gear.
I think someone in that confusion, they had pressed the ignition, the little kill switch off on the throttle side there, and I think they were pushing it a long way without any ignition.
Malcolm Campbell comes into the pits. He hands over to Bruce Newton from Revs Motorcycle News. Again, some modifications to the bikes.
I think we've got another gear shift problem with the Honda there.
And here we are, back to the race itself as bike 5. Peter Clifford, 49 of course, is Len Willing with Chris Beattie, the editor of Australian Motorcycle News. The man who got the job together, but he's not done too well. Apparently he's had a crash down the track. And here we have Peter Clifford.
Whoa,
in the lead. Peter Clifford behind him. Martin Hone comes up to pass him. Peter Clifford, of course, our co-commentator for A.B.C, is the editor of the very respected British motoring magazine Motorcourse. In addition to that, he's quite a rider. He's been a 250cc club champion in Great Britain. He's ridden in the Isle of Man TT, the Bowl d'Or 24-hour race, the Le Mans 24-hour race, Spa 24-hour race, competed in the Macau Grand Prix. So Peter pretty keen, and he was saying in the pits that he really wants to get himself up into the lead. But these are the leaders here, apparently. Bike 32. Nick Dower, advertising manager of Australian Motorcycle News. Behind him, bike 2, Len Lamb from The Age, challenging Dower. No way that words are going to lose out to money, however, as Lamb charges down the inside, while the Lion beside him overhauls the Lamb again. Dower. And a bit of nip and tuck between them as Lamb tucks down over on the tank. I hope they don't forget at the end of the straight to throw out the brakes, Michael.
Actually, it's looking pretty interesting, John. I think I can see some more rain coming our way, and the next couple of laps are going to be very interesting for these guys to test their wet weather skills.
Lamb down the inside.
He's pulling away, isn't he?
And there he is, Will Hagan, 3 times the man that Buster Saunders is, and proving it on this machine. Will Hagan taking all the best lines, both in the commentary position and on the track, dives down under brake, and just look at the weight transfer there, Michael, as he goes down on the front wheel. Oh, hauls it on, gives it every bit of acceleration he can possibly find, gets himself tucked down right on the bike as he well needs to, because the bike and indeed the rider are presenting something of a blockage to the wind.
Yes, I believe there's a fair amount of aerodynamic problem in that one there.
Back we come to Peter Clifford, bike 5, the challenge for 4th place here, as Clifford tucks up out of the windstream. Martin Hone alongside him. No sign. Oh, and Clifford's down. No, it's not Clifford. Of course, it's Martin Hone. So Peter Clifford's managed to do it. He sucked Hone into that one and took him down nicely.
Yes, I think it's that rain coming, John, that's starting to take...
Oh, no, it was the skill and daring of Peter Clifford. Absolutely not a problem in the world.
Okay.
Because Clifford, I mean, seriously, really did take the inside line there and forced Hone into a no-win situation. Will Hagan's looking for someone to do exactly the same thing too, so fast that we can't pan with him. 160 kilometres an hour. These things red-lined at 9,500 RPM. Hagan taking it to 12,000 RPM. And remember that he's inherited a broken bike, so Will, in fact, doing a damn good job out there. Will, a very good road rider. Rode a Suzuki up to Surface Paradise for the Swann Series as we come back to the race for the lead between LEN LAMB and bike 34, Kent Forbes from Eon FM, the 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. announcer on that station. Oh, something of an unusual power application there, Michael, I thought.
For sure.
The drag down the main straight between LEN LAMB and Kent Forbes. Lamb looks behind him, and could really have been looking beside him because that's where he was. Lamb takes the lead.
Look at those bikes squirm under brakes, squirming and squealing. And my goodness.
And Kent Forbes really went for the last-minute desperate braking bit, and there was no way in the wide world he was going to stop it. The good thing is that apparently Honda's considering turning this into a national series next year, but for people like yourself, in fact, Michael, as we come back to Will Hagan. Hagan very good in the corners. It's something to do with centre of gravity, as I understand it, Michael.
Actually, I really do think that he's doing an exceptional job, considering the wet weather, and he seems to be turning over a fair rate of speed in what he's doing, and the circuit is quite slippery.
Martin Hone is back in the field. Will Hagan tucked down behind. Meantime, in the lead, LEN LAMB co-riding with Kevin MAGEE. Comes out onto the finish straight, and this will be the checkered flag for him as it now waves. And LEN LAMB from the Age, co-riding with Kevin MAGEE, wins the Australian Motorcycle News Honda Kawasaki Celebrity Challenge. Meantime, Mal Jones across the infield makes up quite a deal of ground, in fact. That's a damn good idea for you in the FM Challenge series.
I think maybe I've got to look at that one, yes. I agree.
Peter Clifford crosses the line to take 4th position. Will Hagan, meantime, is lying in 7th place. These are the winners on their slowdown lap. It may not be immediately apparent to you, but that was a slowdown lap. As indeed we come back now to Will Hagan, charging for the finish line and for a secure 7th position out of 10 starters. Certainly not by any means disgracing himself.
Not at all. Look at the expression on Will's face. I think that he's definitely working very hard at that.
Michael, he's having a ball out there. He really is. I've never seen him so happy as this weekend because he's really enjoyed his go at this sort of thing. And I think hats off to him. In fact, I'd like to be there myself. I don't think I'd be up with him. Down the main straight now comes Martin Hone with what's left of his motorcycle. We wait for Will Hagan to finish, and he crosses the finish line right now. And the results in the Honda Kawasaki Australian Motorcycle News Celebrity Challenge. First was Kevin McGee with LEN LAMB from the Age. Second was the Rob PHILLIS Dower bike. Nick Dower from Newspress, the advertising manager thereof. And third was bike 34, Adrian Blaschke with Kent Forbes from ENFM.
Well, despite what John and Michael, I'm sure, were saying up